everybody, how are you doing? This is Madhvi from taroticallyspeaking.com, and today I have yet another interesting video for you guys, which has been prompted by an email I received yesterday from Susan. Thank you, Susan, for giving me your permission to make this video because it is an interesting topic. All right. Now, when we do readings for ourselves, for our clients, stuff like that, when we have a spread and there are obviously a number of cards in that spread, sometimes we see that cards from a specific suit pop up more compared to the other cards. So for instance, in a 7 card spread, perhaps you might see 4 wands cards, right? Or sometimes you might see 4 5 cups cards. So when we see that happening, when we see the prevalence of a single suit, or sometimes there might be 2 suits, whatever, if there is a high number of cards, comparatively high number of cards from a single suit within a spread, we say, oh, that aspect of the situation is being highlighted. Makes sense? Yes. So for instance, that's why I've kind of lined up all the 4 suits here like this, right? For me, even the major arcana, if you look at it that way, is a suit, and each of this represents an element. Pentacles are earth, cups are water, swords are air, wands are fire, and the major arcana is spirit or ether, right? So the suit of wands would talk about fire element issues or situations which are about passion, desire, the need to go and prove yourself, that whole fire energy there. The suit of swords is all about logic, thoughts, intellect, ideas, ideologies, thinking, patterns of thinking, which can be both negative and positive. Same, all these suits, obviously, both negative and positive. And well, yes, I will always say that it is rather unfair. I see, the suit of swords is always painted negatively, but whatever, man, that's how it is. But it's not like that all the time, according to me anyway. So then of course we each suit again is masculine, feminine, right? So we have these two, wands and swords, being very masculine, so it's kind of aggressive, and they push outwards. I'm not saying that all men are this way and all women are not that way. I'm just saying that this is kind of how generalized terms it's sort of explained symbolically in the cards, right? I'm just trying to be politically correct here. Good God. Okay. And then of course we have these 2 feminine suits. The suit of cups, which is all about feelings, emotions, compassion, right? It's about creativity, everything that flows that way, in a flow. And obviously then we have the suit of pentacles, which is the element earth. So literally about money, about earthy things, actual material things. What I also believe here is that this is the suit where all of this sort of manifests into actual tangible reality. So whatever your passionate desires are that you have chased after, now get manifested in the suit, or you see it happening here in the suit of pentacles. The ideas, the thoughts, the concepts that you were thinking about in the suit of swords, they find real tangible existence here in the suit of pentacles. Same with the feelings, emotions, and thoughts, not thoughts, obviously not thoughts, it's feelings, emotions, the creative stuff that you went through here in the Ace of Cups. That also finds a very tangible existence here in the suit of pentacles, right? So, and then of course, let's not forget the suit of the major arcana, which is all about spirit. So which is why it is the major arcana after all, and it is obviously higher weightage. It's all about spiritual, heavy duty stuff, archetypal imagery, all of that. So this is the big deal in that way, right? So each spread has its own specific sort of energy. And when you see the prevalence of a particular spread, or sorry, suit in that spread, yeah, you'll say that that energy is being highlighted. So a spread where you see a lot of, say, cups cards, you'll say, okay, emotions and feelings and that sort of thing is what's really playing a big role here. Or you see a spread where there's a lot of swords, then you say, oh, thoughts and mind and intellect and logic and that sort of thing is playing a bigger role here. You know what I'm saying. All and or if you see a lot of major arcana popping up, and then obviously this is like major heavy stuff, big life stuff, spiritual stuff, a lot of deep uh stuff. Oh my goodness, I should expand my vocabulary, right? So there's a lot of that going on when you see repeatedly the cards from or you see more cards actually from a particular spread. Now, today's video has been inspired by Susan, as I said, who wrote a very interesting email. And in her email, what she said is she did this spread called the Cross of Truth, which if you Google, you'll find that spread. And what she did is, what she found is that she had a prevalence of the suit of swords in that whole entire spread. In fact, all of the cards were swords cards. And not only that, they came in a sequence, right? So today's spread, I'm not going to be, drawing here from the shuffle deck. I'm going to be actually taking the cards from the suit, and we'll kind of recreate that spread and look at what it was trying to talk about. Because when I look at cards coming up like that in a sequence, I think that also tells a very interesting story. So let's look into it. Before we actually get into the discussion of the spread and the specific positions where each of these cards sort of came up, I want to look at the sequence, because I think that also needs to be taken into account. It's kind of like you should know this should be somewhere playing in the background like a background soundtrack while you are interpreting the entire spread as it is, right? Because I want to highlight this more because these cards have come up in a sequence, right? In that spread, this is what Susan got. These were the cards in different positions, of course, but ultimately the sequence was from the two of swords to the six of swords. All right, and so my take obviously is, what's the story here? What's this whole thing all about? So very briefly, two of swords, here she takes a decision. It may be a rough decision, it may be a difficult decision, but this decision is something that needs to be taken, and she takes it. What happens after that in the three of swords is it's kind of a heartbreaking situation, obviously, but it's also a stalemate. If you look at, say for instance, because the suit of swords is all about thoughts and ideas and so forth, if you look at each sword as a different idea, so in the two she had to choose from one idea and the other idea, so from among two available options. But here in the three of swords, no matter what she chose, this, because if you're looking at this as a sort of a continuing story here, in the three of swords, three different ideas have clashed, and it's created that heartbreaking situation. So three different thought processes have intersected, not in a very nice way, really, because it's caused something which is very painful, which is very, heartbreaking. So then in the four of swords, she's like, oh my God, I need to spend some time figuring it out, because these three different ideas, if you look at them individually, they seem okay, but maybe there is a different way away from this three. Maybe there is a fourth way. I need to meditate, I need to spend some time by myself, maybe I need to talk to someone and understand the deeper forces at play, perhaps. So she's taking her time, she's taking a little bit of a break, and she's trying to figure it out. What happens next, though, is not necessarily peaceful, because ultimately, whichever idea she decided, whichever idea she took, she had to stand there and she had to sort of, either she's here or she's here, but there's again that opposition, right? If you look at this and this, there is a kind of a mirroring. However, here this opposition just created a sort of a quiet little stalemate, which resulted in a lot of pain. But here, that pain is expressed outwards. There is an argument, there is a difference of opinion, there is a definite winner and a definite person who walks away, who gives up, right? Throwing the swords on the ground, they've given up. So a winner and a loser in that argument, it starts to now sort of manifest. This argument, which at first here was inside, within the head, within the heart, within the mind, quiet, repressed perhaps even, has now become expressed. And the one who stands his ground, is aggressive with his idea, is the one who wins, because these two literally have given up. Okay? And then in the story, the Six of Swords, finally taking all these swords, all the ideas, all, because see, as they've grown, the ideas have matured, have spawned maybe different ideas. So he's taking all of that and he's going maybe to a calmer place on the other side of that riverbank, where he can sort through his thoughts and figure it out. He's trying to now, looking at that baggage that's been accumulated perhaps, or the ideas that have accumulated perhaps, and literally he is moving there to figure it out. Okay. Of course, the next part of the story will be the whole suit of swords, but if you just see this sequence, right, just from the 2 to the 6, what it highlights is the decision, the consequences of that decision, and ultimately the desire to move past it and to get past it, and sort things out in a calmer, sort of quieter sort of location compared to this aggressive, argumentative, difference of opinion kind of space. Okay, so before we kind of look deep into the spread that Susan pulled, I want to just quickly have a look at the spread itself, right? So we get an idea of what we're looking at. This is the basic sort of makeup of the cross of truth spread. As you can see, it's in the shape of a cross, right? The first card is the basis. So what is the question that you're asking? Essentially, when you say cross of truth, you want to know what's going to happen, how, because there is an outcome position here. So obviously we want to know how this situation sort of ends up, but you also want to know the what's surrounding that situation, and then ultimately how it's going to end up. So yes, this is the first card here, which talks about the basis. So what was the basis, what really happened in this situation, or what is the basis of everything pertaining to the question that's been asked about a specific situation. The second one right in the center is the desires. So I know my handwriting looks a little weird because lack of space. Anyway, the point is desires. So we can look at this card as, what are the desires surrounding the topic asked in the question, that sort of thing. What's going on here? What are the deepest sort of feelings, situations here? Now, what helps this story or situation or circumstance, and what opposes it, right? And finally, the outcome of said situation. Now, what happened was, in Susan's situation, there was a car accident that she recently went through. And so that was the situation around which that she pulled this spread all about. So let's look at that. So here's the spread that Susan actually pulled. And so I have this little drawing we made of the spread, and this is the actual spread that she pulled. So we can, refer back to it, each other. Now let's look at how these cards laid out in this spread are interpret it, right? uh the basis, as we saw before, the basis of the whole entire situation, the basis of her question, especially it's got to do with her, the situation around her car accident. She's like, my goodness, I need to figure it out, right? This is the Four of Swords. She's trying to come to terms with something hurtful and painful that happened, which was surrounding that car accident or about that car accident. Something must have been really hurtful or painful for her to deal with, and she's trying to sit here and trying to come up with ways to figure it out. Maybe there is, as we saw, maybe there is a different fourth way. Sorry if you can't see this, let me just put this up. Maybe there is a different way, another way out, apart from the standard known ways to fix this, to figure this out. Maybe she needs to talk to someone in a position of authority or understanding or know-how, consult with someone. In that way, she needs to figure out what to do, how to solve it, how to make a peaceful sort of resolution to the earlier situation, as we saw in the sequence, the Three of Swords, the stalemate, right? Now, for here in this spread, the Three of Swords is all about desires, right? This is the sort of desire. It could be either her desire, she wants to cause that stalemate, but we've seen here in the Four of Swords that that's not what it's all about for her. She wants to peacefully find a resolution to that stalemate. So this desire is actually talking about the whole situation. To be honest, it's talking about what the feelings are around this situation, or what the what perhaps caused this situation. So we have three swords here that have clashed with each other, three different thought processes that have clashed with each other. And later on, I found out that the specifics of the car accident, where there were three different cars involved in that car accident, and it was something of it's a kind of an insurance related disaster because of the way things happen. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole situation, but the way things sort of worked out or are working out are not easy for Susan, are not simple for Susan in that way, because even though it was not her fault, she's going to probably have to pay a penalty in some way or the other. So that's the heartbreak here. That is the result of this crash or clash of three different cars and three different thought processes, or essentially that stalemate situation, which she did not desire, but has been brought about by that entire situation, right? What would be helpful for her is to make a call on what sort of action to take, right? This is the choice. She can sit there and peacefully, quietly try to find a way to fix it or resolve it, or as we see here, she can push for a resolution. And as we've seen before, the Suit of Swords is all about minds and thought, but it's also a masculine suit, so it's all about going out there and doing what needs to be done. And in the case of the Suit of Swords, it's all about thinking and acting upon those thoughts. So here she needs to take a decision. It's a tough call for her to take that decision, but she needs to take a decision. Should she sit quietly and just accept what happened, or should she just do something about it, right? And see, here's the thing which is going to help her take the decision in that way, because this is the card of what's opposing this entire situation. And that, as we saw in that story earlier, the sequence is that this is the place where he takes everything and goes to a quieter place and figures it out. He wants to move on. He wants to move past this. Now, that's the card in the opposition, right? She doesn't want to just quietly move past this. Nope. She wants to take a stand, and she wants to stand her ground, because she was not wrong, and so she wants to make a stand for herself, for the right thing. She wants to fight the good fight, and I'm all for it. And in fact, the cards are also all for it, because in the outcome card, they say, yes, man, totally go fight the good fight, take a stand. See, here's the thing. You can see this in various shades, right? There's, as I said earlier, there's the winner and there's the people who gave up the fight and walked away, or AKA the losers. Uh, if so, so there's always those two sides in this particular argument. So if Susan wants to win this argument or this situation, she needs to take a stand. She needs to be a little bit aggressive and say, look, man, this is what happened. It's not my fault. I'm not paying for it. If she does that, there's a high likelihood that, yes, even though it may be a little bit of a discordant scenario, she might actually win and the others might just give up. So, while the outcome does say this will happen, or kind of in a predictive way, it also gives a guidance that, if you want a winning outcome, this is what you need to do. So bear in mind, right, in the background, as we saw, the whole entire sequence of this from the 2 to the 6 is all about the decision and the consequences of that decision, wanting to make a peaceful solution but not necessarily finding that the solution is as peaceful, and then ultimately deciding to, having won this fight, then deciding to move past the whole entire situation. That was what that whole sequence was. And if we have that in the background and then look at this spread, in light of the specific spread positions, you see that the cards are saying that right now, moving past this is not something that you should consider because it's in the opposing position. What you should consider, because it's in the outcome position here, is standing your ground. So the cards are saying, do this first, then maybe later you can come and do this. Not right now, though. Right now, the decision that you're going to take has to go here, not here. Okay? So this is how, in this specific sequence, the cards have sort of come up and told their story, even though the sequence is there. So having that sequence in the background also helps us kind of get to the gist of what the cards are trying to get at, and then we see the specific spread also tell its own story. So what do you think about this spread? What do you think about the way I've gone and sort of looked at this particular interesting spread? Also, what do you think the cards are trying to say or do when you see cards from just one suit sort of show up in a sequence, not randomly here, but in an actual sequence? What are they trying to say? What are they trying to sort of emphasize? And of course, have you done spreads like this where, despite having a well shuffled deck, you end up with something like this, a bunch of cards from a suit in a sequence? How did you interpret the cards when that happened? Did what intuitively sort of popped in your head when you did that? Share your experiences, your thoughts, your comments. Please just share them in the comment section below and let me know. Let's talk about this, because this is something very, very interesting. It doesn't happen all the time. It's something, to be honest, quite rare. But when it does happen, it is something, because I think when something like this happens, it for a second you're just like taking a moment, you have to pause. So it's also I think a way that the cards are saying, wait, look, see here, this is the message I'm the universe is trying to kind of get to you. And because it comes up in a very interesting way, it makes you kind of pause and look again, right? So in that way, the universe kind of is using minor little shock tactics to get your attention as well. So anyway, what do you think? Also, did you like this video? Please give it a thumbs up, and that's kind of one way of letting me know that, hey, I like what you're putting out. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I really, really try to put out interesting spread related videos all the time. I'm really trying to put, get into a schedule in a way. So there's more regular videos coming out. And send me questions if you have questions, if you have very interesting spreads to share. Send them to me. Let's make a video and talk about it. And follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The links and everything are in the description below. And talk to me. Right? Like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Give me all your social media love. I will not do this, promise. This is not what I will do to you. Okay, then I will see you soon. I will make another video soon with another interesting spread. Until then, stay good, be good, play with your cards. Bye now.